Dear old Uncle Joe, well, we all would like to know why you wear a thing so out of place as a bowler hat for sailing. Says our Uncle Joe, well, you see it softens the blow when the boom swings low over Uncle Joe, and it's also grand for bailing. And it might not be quite the thing to wear at sea. From the bitter and the batter on my bowler hat, I can always tell if it's raining. Dear old Auntie Flo, well, we all would like to know why you knit clothes that don't fit, but there's always wool left over. Oh, says our Auntie Flo, well, you never cease to grow. If you stand in muck, then you will grow up, and I will have wool left over. And they might not be garments fit for royalty, but they'll do for you for a year or two, and there's always wool left over. Dear old cousin Jack, well, I hope you soon come back, 'cause you sailed to sea in an admiral's cap, but it's not the best for bailing. Oh, says our cousin Jack, well, I promise when I'm back I'll spend a bob on a bowler hat, and we should all go sailing. And it might not be quite the thing to wear at sea. From the pitter and the patter on my bowler hat, I can always tell if it's raining. About a year ago now, maybe just over, we were in Oxfam, and I brought a book from an old sort of 60s children's book called Verse That Is Fun. And to be honest, most of the poems are really boring. Actually, it wasn't very good. But there was one poem called I don't even know what it's called. It wasn't called Dear Old Uncle Joe or anything like that, but it did have this line about a bloke called Uncle Joe who goes to sea in a bowler hat, and I sort of really liked the idea, and we kind of took one line from the poem and turned it into a song. And actually now I think the song bears very little resemblance to the original poem. But
yeah, David didn't actually bother to read the book before he bought it. It had a picture of a giraffe on the front, which I think won you over, didn't it?
It was in a cabinet, so I couldn't look inside it, but it had this giraffe on it, so I just brought it. Anyway, I like old books and old sort of children's toys, and that's my thing, really. But it was a good book, because we got a song out of it, so it's worth it in the end.
But it was a lovely picture of a giraffe.
It's got a good picture of the giraffe on the front of the book, though, yeah. So.
Sounds good to me. Is that a process that you go through a lot when you're writing a song?
Yeah.
Is that, and at the title track that's the beginning of a nursery rhyme, isn't it? And
yeah.
Added to that.
I mean, I guess that comes from my sort of fascination with all things about sort of children's history. You know, I'm really interested in that. So I think the work that Peter and Iona Opie did with they did like the books of street rhymes that children do on the playground, and nursery rhymes, and we sort of spend time ploughing through those quite a lot, and looking through them, because I do think that they're sometimes a bit overlooked, you know what I mean, because they're kind of considered maybe a little bit not a serious topic, or not a serious topic to turn into a folk song, but I think they are.
Some of them are fairly grim.
Yeah,
actually.
they are. That's the thing, they are, and they are folk song. And for me, they're one of the few kind of remainders of folk song which everybody knows. You know what I mean? You know, I think carols actually is the other one, but I think nursery rhymes are all folk songs, and everyone knows them and don't know that they're folk songs, but they are.
I'm a big fan of the Old Rope and the New Rope String Band as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely adore them.
Definitely,
so I think that's another one.
Yeah.
Just kind of little things I think are really, really nice.
I think you need to have a laugh as well.
Yeah.
Because there's so much folk music which is all about death and dying and pregnant women being killed, you know what I mean? And every now and then, I think you need to have a bit of a laugh. And I think folk music's a good way to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
When we saw you in Reading, you sang "Going to the Zoo."
Yes.
That's entirely his idea.
So we've got a giraffe. What action or noise can we have the giraffe? Chewing. That's your action over there. That's your action there. Long neck sway. How about a long neck sway? Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to do the verse and we'll sing the chorus twice through at the end. Here we go. See the giraffe with his long neck swaying. See the giraffe with his long neck swaying. See the giraffe with his long neck swaying. And we can stay all day. We're going to the zoo, zoo, zoo. How about you? You can come too. So go to the zoo, zoo, zoo.
Well, I think people enjoy it so much more if they're like allowed to actually participate. I think it's just, well, whenever you go to kind of a concert, I think you just go, if you've actually felt like you've been involved in the gig, then you go away feeling like just much happier about it, I think. Whereas otherwise, if you're just listening for ages and ages and ages and you're not kind of engaging properly, then you're like...
Yeah, well, I think people need to go away with a smile on their face as well.
So.
You know what I mean? You don't want to bum them out, do you?
No.
and the thing about that song as well is that it's so absurd that it breaks down all the barriers. You know what I mean? It's. I mean, there's plenty of really good sort of folky sing-alongs and that kind of thing, but I think especially with encores as well, which I don't particularly like. I find them a bit difficult and a bit
Don't say
crowd
that.
sometimes. No, sorry, but you know what I mean. You know at the end of most concerts there's going to be an encore, and I think we had this conversation that it's quite hard to find something to end on, which is kind of light-hearted enough, but just good enough. So we kind of thought we'd do something completely stupid for our encore. Then it sort of gets over that kind of wall, and people just end on a bit of a high, and we all share in the sort of silliness, and then it's a nice way to end it.
Kids are way too cool to sing it with us now, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, we do quite a lot of workshops in primary schools, and the songs we sing in primary schools always go down better in pubs and folk clubs. Always. The kids are a bit like, I'm singing that, whereas adults, love it. They'll go for it.
Have you ever been worried that people won't join in, or there's an audience that just isn't up for it?
Yeah.
We've done Jerusalem Cuckoo, a song of ours, a few times, and we normally try and get somebody up to play the coconuts, and that is a nightmare.
A donkey is a beauty, his colour rather pale. His ears are long and graceful, with a beautiful curly tail. He only got a whistle, and he knows what to do. A stunning if the music has Jerusalem Cuckoo. Shout, boys, hurrah, my troubles they are few. A stunning if the music has Jerusalem Cuckoo.
Your CD cover is very distinctive. Can you tell
Thank
us about
you.
that, please?
It was the result of much blood, sweat and tears. I've probably spent about 2 weeks sewing that. Not that you could
It's
tell
worth it.
because it's teeny weeny tiny. But like if you look on one of the chairs in particular, you can see all these teeny tiny stitches, which are probably only about 1 millimetre each in real life. And I hand stitched it all, which was foolish of me without a thimble.
It looked
Yeah.
very good there.
Thank you. We got it framed because I was not going to spend that long on it and then not look at it ever again. So
You have to do a vinyl version so that people can see.
Desperate to do a
Yeah.
vinyl version.
that's a good idea.
I would love it.